If you
show, it's important that people know about this because we're currently living in the upside down where it's okay for our country to arm civilians in Ukraine because they need to protect themselves from Russia. That's what we're being told. So that's what our government's doing with our tax money, which is insane in general because we should not be funding it. But just the concept of that, right? That we need to use our tax money, fine, put that aside. The concept of we need to arm civilians because the military and Ukraine cannot handle what's going on. They need civilians to defend the land over in Ukraine. Okay, so we should all hear that and say, oh, interesting. Well, here in America, it's the opposite mindset, right? We have this massive gun grab going on. And the mindset is we need to get guns from people because these Manchurian candidates keep popping up, or these psyops keep popping up all around America. And, you know, we just need to take people's guns. Don't worry about a situation where Russia would invade America or America would turn on its citizens. Of course, nobody will think that. So let's just use the hypothetical. Russia invades America. Don't worry. The civilians don't need to be armed to protect themselves because we have our own military. Oh, wait. You mean the same military that's busy training, learning pronouns, learning how to be softer, learning how to surrender, learning how to be pathetic? Because that's what our government's doing, weakening our military. So wouldn't the mindset be that, here in America, we probably should be armed because there could be anything that goes on with China or Russia. And of course, people like us are obviously doing it to protect ourselves from our own government, from a tyrannical government, which is in place right now, which if you don't see it, you might as well just go put an anvil on your ankle and go to the nearest cliff because you're completely useless and brain dead at this point. But this is an important story because while all this is happening, while we're arming Ukraine, while they're de-arming us, our own government is buying up all of the ammunition. That's right. Agencies, government agencies, and not the CIA and the FBI are buying up ammo. That's how unreal this is getting.
What do you think? The deer you're hunting or wear Kevlar vest? What the hell you need 20 bullets for?
A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body.
No amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
But while he tries to claw back at your Second Amendment, we're learning that he's quietly arming the government to the teeth. Federal agencies are buying up an unprecedented amount of ammo, but not for the FBI or the DEA. Agencies that we'd never even heard of are stockpiling ammunition like the apocalypse is around the corner. Do you know what the Railroad Retirement Board is? Doesn't matter. They spent thousands of dollars on 9mm bullets. Are we worried about train robberies? I'm not sure why an American taxpayer is buying retired conductors' bullets. The IRS is also loading up. They've spent $750,000 on ammo just this year alone. That's enough for a small army. I guess Zelensky has enough. The timing's strange. The country's going through an ammo shortage, and the government's buying up as many bullets as they can get their hands on. Is that related? Why is the Biden administration doing this? I don't know. Is Biden weaponizing the IRS again like Obama did against the Tea Party? What does an accountant at the IRS need a firearm for? I'm going to pay my taxes, guys. I swear. Don't shoot.
So the IRS, ladies and gentlemen, the IRS needs to be armed. $700,000, it might not seem like a lot of money. I understand that. The IRS is arming themselves. Why in the world would the IRS ever need to be armed in the first place? Do we even need to get into that? But on top of that, why is our own government buying up so much ammo? Why are these bizarre groups like, did I hear that correctly? The Railroad? Is that what it was? The Railroad is now buying up ammo as well? Because the railroad needs it, right? And not just that, it's not like, oh, the railroad's getting it because, you know, we have to watch out for bank robbers like it's, in the early 1900s and people are robbing the train. No. It's the Railroad Retirement Group. So it's Railroad Retirement Group. So in other words, all these government fronts, which we know are all over the place, all these government agencies are fronts, are all arming themselves and buying up as much ammo as they can get away with without people getting suspicious because the government wants to massively arm themselves. I wonder why. I wonder, who is the IRS going to war with? Are they preparing, getting bullets to go to war with with Russia? Oh no, the IRS is going to war with its own citizens. And they want more reason to go after people, of course, because of COVID and people not being able to do their taxes or pay their tax. All this stuff. Let's militarize the IRS, and we'll militarize the Railroad Retiree Committee, and so on and so forth. And then all the bullets and the ammo, just like everything else with inflation and supply chain shortages, will be gone. And then civilians won't be able to arm themselves. That's another way that they can get around this whole de-arming people, is getting a massive amounts of bullets, because stopping the production wouldn't be enough. Taking the production of it, grabbing it, and then storing it so that they have it, and then they can use it. Isn't that convenient? Now, I mentioned earlier about how we're arming Ukraine. That should be the ultimate argument that anyone uses. I mean, it really should be. We're arming Ukraine civilians against Russia, but here we want to de-arm. And it's because people believe in these fake government-created events that occur all around the country that they create on their own. And then they say, oh, what? People want to arm themselves? It's not enough of an excuse, even if you're a good person, because you need to arm yourselves to protect yourselves from a tyrannical government. Oh, it's not a good excuse. If you don't see what the government's doing right now, you're too far gone, because it couldn't be more obvious. If you actually believe what's going on, fine, believe it. You don't hear the threat, the potential threat that they're posing with Russia, which again, would still be our own government doing it. So shouldn't we want to, in case? And then they go, no, the military will protect you. What do you need to, arm yourself for? First of all, nobody wants to rely on other people like the military. No offense if you're in the military. And secondly, when you see what they're doing with the military, not only are they training them with the pronoun stuff, they're training them in whiteness, how white, they're doing critical race theory in the military. This is from West Point. They are showing them how whiteness is a threat and how white people have white pride. So in other words, they're training their military to hate white people, which the majority of this country is white people. So that's really great, right? That's what our military's busy doing. So they're looking at all this stuff. They're seeing the enemy as white people, their own, fellow countrymen. And then, of course, they're getting pushed into all the pronoun stuff. So people who aren't on board with that, they're seeing as the enemy. So they're pretty much a military who is being armed for the liberals. That's what they're being armed to do, is protect the liberals. And then they want to de-arm everyone else who isn't a liberal. Now, people like me and you, we're not Republican or liberal. We see through it. We know what it is. But even if you're a Republican, you're entitled to believe, if you want to believe it's real, that's perfectly fine. They are arming against us. The military is being prepared to be against us. This is really clear. And by the ideologies they're teaching them, we can see all this stuff. So while that's occurring and the military is preparing to hate civilians, American civilians, more than anything in the world, more than the Taliban, they're hating on white people and people who are anti-pronoun. I mean, do you see? It goes towards Christians. It goes towards Republican people. So they want to get our guns because we're supposed to trust in these people who are being trained in this way. No, I don't think so. So on top of that, because they know by passing these red flag laws, which you haven't heard, the red flag laws pretty much mean that they can come if they see fit and come and take your gun if you're a gun owner. So in other words, depending on what website you look at, depending if you're a conspiracy theorist, all these things they will just make up as they go, just like they do with hate speech, and give them a right and a reason to come get your gun, which really isn't a right. It's just a reason, because they don't have the right to do that, but they don't care at this point. They're doing what they want. And the question is, when do we push back against it? So according to a report by Breitbart, the IRS has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars buying ammo, raising concern about why government agencies buying ammo that the administration plans to restrict further in the coming months. Well, do we need to go further than that? They're buying ammo that they want to restrict. They want to put restrictions on how much ammo you can buy. But they want to be able to have all the ammo. I wonder why. They really care about the citizens, don't they? And that's the thing. I mean, if you listen to my channel and you're a former military, you served in the military and you're not in the military anymore, you're so important to what the government has planned to do to us, to be, on the side of people like me and the people who listen to this channel, because, they probably made you feel like you don't matter and all this stuff, because for the most part, ex-military people are not falling into this pronoun stuff. They're offended by it. They're disgraced by it. I've read some of the comments. I've seen some videos other people have done on this stuff. They're embarrassed that they were a part of the military. They say if they were in the military now, they'd walk out if they did this stuff. Well, they're going to turn the current military against us, and people who are ex-veterans are going to be really, really important, to whatever they try to do. So if you're out there and you're ex-military, don't forget that you're very important in what is going to occur here in the coming years with this civil unrest. And no, that doesn't mean an act of violence. It's an act of even just strategizing, knowing how the military operates, because you're former military. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you are ex-military, totally understand how you're feeling, and look, the government likes to say that they care about the military. They don't give a crap about the military, just like the gay people and the LGBT are going to find out soon enough. They don't care about you either. And they don't care about a woman's right to choose or a woman's body. They care about none of us. The whole goal is so that we go at each other. Well, they can bring in the government that they want to bring in. Problem, reaction, solution at its finest. So the IRS's acquisition of massive amounts of ammunition from March to June, they said there's a concern that this is part of a broader effort to have any entity in the federal government buy up ammo to reduce the amount of ammunition that is in supply, while at the same time making it harder to produce ammo. That's the goal right there. Right there. And for people not to be able to see it, that the IRS needs to be, remember the wrestler, Erwin R. Shyster? He used to dress up. He was like a pro wrestler. They call him IRS back in like the 80s. And he came out. He's supposed to be the IRS man. Those are like what you would look at the IRS as, guys with calculators. And these are the people these people need to be armed, apparently. If you don't pay your taxes, they come to your house with a gun. Is that it? And the railroad people, what's the excuse with them? Right? Are they looking for bank robbers on the railroad? I mean, the Wild West here? No. They're taking the supply that's available, and then they're going to cut supplies from coming in. So whatever's out there in the market, they want to eat it up, and they want to hoard it. Then they'll cut the supply chain off and say, oh, we're not getting any bullets in, so people want to get ammo. Can't. It's another way to stop what they're doing. And this is just very, very clear that they are not taking their foot off the gas. This is coming. And it's coming fast. It's coming furious. It's coming without any hesitation on their part. That's why we all need to be ready. They could do anything at any time. And we know they listen to us and all this crap. And I've said it a million times. It's like all the majority of us want is to be left alone. They can have all this crap money that they have and they print and their 5 mansions and their 75 cars, and they can live like that. Go ahead. Because when time's up, we all know that that becomes dust here on earth. You don't store up treasure here on earth. They do. So they can have all that. None of us want it. We don't want power. We want to be left alone and live our lives the way we want to live it. They don't want that. It's not enough for them to have that. They're bored. They want total control of you. Their master, Satan, wants total control over you. They want to bring in the mark. This is all what's happening right now in front of our faces. This is part of why they're amping this up so fast and without they're not taking any precautions. They're not taking any pushback. They don't care at this point. They don't care. And now they're grabbing, and they've got these moronic civilians who want to grab guns because these vets are like, we have to get everybody's guns. And they're like, oh, these conspiracy theorists, I think the government's after them. Like, they are so, I don't understand like what species they are at this point if they don't see what's happening. Like, what's inside of their brain other than cobwebs? In their head, I should say, because there's no brain in there. They see this stuff, and they actually, they're like, oh, that's the irony of it, right? They're pro-Ukraine. And then I saw a thing, it was like 3 out of 4 Americans support us giving weapons to civilians in Ukraine. Okay, that's 75% of the country. So, and I don't understand how anyone could support us funding this, by the way, to corrupt Ukraine with our tax money. It's pretty unbelievable. The last time I checked, it was, America first, but no, apparently not. But anyway, they're all for that. These people, their minds are so warped. Arm the citizens of Ukraine to defend themselves. But here in America, take your guns away. And then they just go, well, we have the military to protect ourselves. Do we? You seeing the stuff going on with our military? They're being groomed to turn on the civilians. They're being taught about whiteness. They're not being taught about Russia. They're not being taught about China. They're being taught about Americans, to hate Americans, to be pro-LG, to be pro-pronoun, to be weak, in other words, mentally and physically weak, because that's what this stuff is. It's for weak, pathetic people, and that's what they're pushing. So the government's loading up on ammo, and no one's suspicious. Go figure. What's it going to take for people to be suspicious? Are you going to have to see the military in your town? You have to see Joe Biden at your front door holding a gun to your head to make you wake up? Is that what it's going to take? You need to see Nancy Pelosi levitating as the demons come out of her to realize what's happening? Or no? Because it seems like at this point, even if they see that, they'll laugh it off and think that it's like a hologram because they're so dumb They really are. We live in a time period where the majority of humans, I shouldn't say the majority, let's say a percentage, a good amount of people are useless. They are what do they say? Useless eaters as they look at us. Well, there's a majority of people who are they're useless, moronic zombies and they're so narcissistic. I've seen people do videos on me and I don't care. And I see the comment section. I'm just like, wow. And it's like, Call lives in his own bubble. He doesn't understand, doesn't understand this or doesn't understand what's going on. Like, what are you talking about? Nobody's born this way. Okay. It's not normal to cut off your thing between your legs. I mean, none of this stuff is normal, but they've gotten it into people's heads so thick. They think that this stuff's all normal reality, this perverse satanic reality that they've created. Meanwhile, they all want to grab everyone's guns because, it's good to just rely on the government to protect you when the government's turning on citizens. And again,